Rosalind?
Was your question around the perception of the buyer, of the buyer's perception of the model?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so they're using the model, right? How are they going to view the output of this model?
I think if I were the buyer and I saw 3 cars without wheels and I walked up to it, I think, 1, I'm going to stop walking up to the cars without wheels, but 2, I would have known to do that anyway. So why do I have to use this iPad?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever tried to employ, or your firm has ever tried to employ automated decision tools of any sort, but turns out that people don't like being told obvious things. That makes them feel like it's kind of a useless tool, right? Oh, you told me not to buy this car without wheels? Great job, genius. They probably would have figured that one out by themselves. Harlan?
I just had a quick question, going back to my last question. So do auctions hide like previous accident damage for a reason, and that's why our data didn't show up in this data set that you provided to us?
I mean, they have the Carfax report on, so I think they have that potentially previous accident data. Okay. We don't have it in this particular data set.
Okay, because I assume that'd be highly predictive of a bad buy if it wasn't provided, of course.
Sure. Yeah. Dennis?
So, I mean, the data doesn't say 1 for 1, if it doesn't have wheels, don't buy it.
No, it doesn't. We're speculating.
Right, but I think what it indicates is that the thing hasn't been driven for some period of time. And when you combine that with other factors, you have a likelihood of deterioration of the whole system. I mean, we used to say that, so my background's flying, and usually the planes that flew the best were the ones that flew every day. Right? If it sat in there for maintenance, it was down for quite a while.
Sure, yeah.
But I can see where that would be the same thing. So it's like a new car with no tires, there might be some value in that, and it's worth bringing it and fixing it. If it's something that's 1957 Chevy truck with no tires, then maybe you leave that a lot.
Yeah, it's not that 100% of cars that have wheel type missing are bad, right? That's not what the data says. It's just that a disproportionate number of cars with wheel type missing are bad. And so there is nuance here, right? We're not saying that every single car with wheel type missing is bad. Andrew, Carolyn.
So if a car is missing its wheels, wheels are one of those like high value, easily pilferable parts of a car. Like it might be like the hood ornament is missing before you notice the wheels are missing, or what is it called? The catalytic converter. That, like, I don't know why people want to steal that, but they steal it all the time.
Okay.
And a lot of them get stolen.
It just seems like a pain in the ass.
All the time.
You got to get underneath the car and everything.
Okay, so I mean, again, even if wheel type is missing, it might not be the case that all cars without wheels are bad. Caroline, you have to comment?
I was going to say, just on the usefulness of a model.
Yep.
It seems like a buyer can go up and determine, if I have a 70, I think it was 70-something percent chance of getting a bad car from wheel type. Well, then why don't I just focus the data on, like, take that out of it and just focus the data on the piece that they can't determine very well, and that may be a more useful model. I don't know if that makes sense how I'm communicating it.
Yeah, so you're suggesting, well, wheel type might be predicted, it might be obvious.
It's obvious, so why,
So just throw it out of the model, and that way they'll walk up to a car, and the thing will say, oh, there's a 90% chance this is a good buy, but they look at it and like, oh, it doesn't have wheels, so I'm not going to buy it, right? Because they knew that wasn't encoded in the data, and then they walk on to the next car, which happens to be, a model, a Ford Taurus station wagon, which a priori they don't necessarily know it's going to be a bad buy, but the model tells them something that might be non-obvious to them.
that may be a better use for a model of this nature. So it's like a decision tree. If it's missing, don't buy it, and then if not, then we have a model for trying to make that decision.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so that could be an alternative way. I mean, and this is, what we're all speculating. We don't really know what is a good model. I mean, what this variable is missing. But we can speculate and say, well, if this is the case, how would I respond as a potential stakeholder, as a consumer of this model? Would it be more likely to build for the when I use it for me to build trust in this model, or would it be less likely? And at the end of the day, it might be the case that giving them a model with wheel type missing does help them build trust, right? but it's not necessarily obvious to me, it's something that you have to think about as you move from building the model to deploying the model. All right. There's a competition, right? And we should see who wins. And there are prizes for this competition. Let's turn on.
The showmanship just keeps getting better. I love it.
I think I indicated that there was going to be prizes. This should not be a surprise. All right, if anybody was holding off on submitting something until the very last minute, you just missed your chance. I just brought in the results, and if I could get a drum roll, please, from the class. The winner is Weston Pruitt's group. Woo! So this is Weston and Rosalind and Allie, right? Well done, well done. Give them a big round of applause. So Rosalind and Weston topped the leaderboard in first and second place, followed very, very closely by Sam. And Sam, was it the two Sams in the group? Who's
me and Harlan.
You and Harlan, that's right. So as your prize, I've got UVA Christmas ornaments. So if you don't celebrate Christmas, I apologize, but you could maybe use this as the world's worst ping pong ball. Here you go, well done.
Appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
Yep. All right, Weston, what kind of model did you guys submit?
So that was a random trees, and then our approach was effectively what Ryan was saying, add them all in at the beginning and then try and cherry pick ones that don't really seem to make sense.
Gotcha. Okay, and it worked out. I think you guys had a score pretty close to this right from the beginning, didn't you?
We started off terribly when you walked in. I think we were down at like 21, and then we switched tact and went to adding in all of them instead of doing maybe 4 at a time, and that really turned things around. From there, it was all about tweaking what percentage of it was test data. We settled right around that 1/3 mark, about 35% was the sweet spot, and then from there it was all just playing with the remaining 3 parameters.
The tuning parameters?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Great. And I can actually look and see exactly what you did for your model. This is, let's see this description. You had a random forest. Min sample split parameter was 3, maxed up with 30, and you had 200 trees. And you had these variables right here in it. Great. All right. Well, so what we've done right now is we've tried to get kind of a high-level overview of the entire process. We started by getting some sense for the context that Carvalho was working in. Then we moved to trying to understand our data, generate hypotheses around our data. Once we did that, in the code, and you guys didn't have too much control over this process, was data cleaning. But there was one really important choice I made when we were cleaning the data.